Hello, and welcome back to the Last Stop Watch channel. Today, I wanted to go over how I got started in watch collecting and how you could get started in watch collecting without going straight to a Rolex AD and waiting on a list for years to buy a Rolex. I'm a huge fan of budget watches, and I like vintage watches, and I like both digital and analog watches. So today, I'm going to step you through some of the places that I've gone to purchase watches. I'll show you 4 different examples of watches I've picked up from various locations and also what to look out for when purchasing watches from places like this. So let's go ahead and flip the camera over. We'll do a wrist check and then we'll get started. So as I said, we're going to start off with a wrist check. Now, the watch I've got on wrist today is a gift from my wife for Christmas. My wife, her big gift for me every single Christmas for the past couple years has been a watch. And this year was no exception. This year was also a very exciting watch for me, as it is my second Hamilton, but my first Jazzmaster. Now, I love the face on this. It's very simple, and as you can see, there is no second hand on this model. You've got a clear date window at the bottom, applied indices, and a nice classic slim fit. Nice leather strap with a sign buckle. So that's what she got me for Christmas this year. I'm a huge fan of this watch, and I wear it all the time. Now, with the wrist check out of the way, let me show you one of the first places you can go to and pick up a watch that won't break the bank. And that is simply Walmart. Now, Walmart in a lot of places still sells watches and still sells Casios. You can pick up anything from the cheapest watch that Casio makes to a higher end G-Shock. And one of the first watches I picked up from Walmart is the most reliable watch in the world, in my opinion, the Casio F91W. Now, this watch should only set you back anywhere from $13 to $20, and you have day, date, time, stopwatch, and a very meager light. This watch is known to not have a good working light, but that's not the point. It does wear really small on the wrist compared to most modern watches, but it is one that will last for years and will take a beating. So Walmart's a good place to start for a budget watch collection. Again, you can get Casios. They sell other brands there, but Casio is the main draw for me. The second place I started going to pick up watches were the antique and vintage shops in and around my area. Now, you have to be careful in places like this because not all vintage and antique shops, one, know what they have, and two, have anybody there that can service the watches. I went to one of my shops and found this. This watch is the Seiko Navigator Timer 6117-6410. Now, I found this at an antique shop where the owner of the antique shop was also a hobbyist watchmaker, and he services all his watches. This particular watch, when I purchased it, had what looked like cracks all along the crystal and was on a strap that was way too small for my wrist. So I replaced the strap with a nice looking braided type dive strap here, and I used some of our best friend as a watch repair person, Polywatch, to buff out all of the scratches. Now, I started with some sandpaper and lightly sanded and started using finer and finer grains until I got to about 5,000 grit sandpaper, and then I used Polywatch to clear it up. And as you can see, there aren't any scratches on this whatsoever. Now, this watch is fully functional and is very beautiful, only showing nominal signs of wear. Now, I picked this up for what is considered a steal because seeing what they go for on eBay, I paid nowhere near that much for it. Speaking of eBay, another place you can go to purchase watches is eBay. Now, I started my watch collection by buying watch lots. That's just big bundles of wristwatches that people sell by the pound. I would go through the listings and look in detail at the photos, and from there I would determine if there's any watches in the lot that I wanted. And the goal would be to find a watch that I wanted and that I could then turn around and sell the rest of the lot for to make up the money for it. So my initial batch of watches that I purchased, mostly Casios, have all been purchased at almost a zero sum because I was able to resell watches. Some of the watches I purchased were vintage. Now, you may have seen some of my repair videos, including the classic full service on the Bulova watch that I did. Well, I picked up another one, and this is a nice gold-filled Bulova with a copper dial. Now, I do not do anything to the dials themselves when I do my repairs, but I brought this one back to life and put it on a nice little strap. It's an aftermarket strap, but it is gold and kind of matches the watch. Now, this watch wears even smaller than the Casio, as you can see here. And on wrist, for me, it almost looks like just a bracelet. But the watch is very pretty. I like it, and it keeps really good time, so I keep it in my collection. Now, so far I've gone over Walmart, eBay, and thrift shops. There are pawn shops you can go to, but I have never actually purchased a watch from a pawn shop. The local pawn shops around here do carry wristwatches, but from what I've seen, they just price everything at retail regardless of the condition of the watch. And sometimes I've even found modded Seikos that they don't know are modded, and I've had to say, hey, look, this is not an actual Seiko model. This has been highly modded, and you can tell because of X, Y, and Z. So I've just never purchased anything from a pawn shop. However, there is another website, which I've mentioned in previous videos, that I have been taking advantage of. And if you can get over the way the site works with the auto-scrolling of the pictures, then it can be a very, very good find for watches. And that is shopgoodwill.com. Now, one of the most recent finds from that website is this Orient 3-star that I picked up. This watch was well loved before I picked it up, and I did have to have the crystal replaced at a local jeweler's. You see it's got some desk diving scratches on it, but other than that, the watch is fully functional and just a nice find. I also picked this up for pretty cheap, and it's a good part of my collection. And that's just a very quick overview of some of the places that I use to shop for watches for my collection. If you have any questions about any of the places that I go to, please let me know in the comments down below. I do like to answer all of your questions. I will have an upcoming video on my Hamilton Jazzmaster once everything settles down here at the house. As always, I hope you've enjoyed watching this video as much as I have making it. My name is Bryant. This is the Last Stop Watch channel. Have a great day.